Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named just add the slash in the malicious compliance subreddit. The post is titled, "Mom told me to leave, so I did. Law enforcement got involved and she lost everything. This happened when I was 15. My mom was a mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive narcissist. Some highlights include when she was teaching my twin sister and me to read at the age of 4 or so. It was around 2 a.m. and my sister was having trouble learning, so my mother's solution was to beat her with a sandal every time she got a flashcard wrong. The same thing happened when my mother had me transcribe an essay she had written in my handwriting when I was 7. Every time I started a letter from the wrong position, she would beat me with one of her Birkenstocks. This too happened late at night, so when I became too delirious from exhaustion and pain, she would drag me by the neck and literally throw me into a cold shower to wake me up so we could more easily continue the waking nightmare. When I was 13, I told her I wanted to live with my dad, and she told me she didn't care what I did after I turned 18. I later figured out that this was because the child support stopped at age 18. Anyway, fast forward to age 15. Our relationship was understandably strained. We had guests over and she liked to use guests as a way of controlling our behavior through shame. It's easier to be an angsty teenager when your grown-up friends from church aren't watching and judging everything you do. This made it easier for her to pretend to be a firm but loving mother while slipping in sideways comments like velvet daggers. Well, I decided I wasn't going to subject myself to the whole thing and spent the day outside in the woods nearby. When I saw our guests had left, I went to go back inside. My mother, perhaps unhappy at being denied a day-long emotional abuse routine, told me I wasn't welcome and that I should leave. My 15-year-old brain heard her words and knew that she only meant for a little while, but it also recognized that she failed to specify any time frame at all. So I hiked a couple of miles to a friend's house and asked if I could spend a couple of days there. When my friend's dad found out why I was there, he was furious and said I could stay as long as needed. I didn't go home that evening or the next. My mom became concerned and contacted law enforcement to report me missing. This was a big deal for several reasons. We lived in the mountains near a national park, so there was a very real possibility that I had been attacked by a wild animal, become injured while hiking, drowned, or been kidnapped. Nobody knew of my mother's abusive tendencies or the squalor and neglect my sister and I lived in. Most importantly, the law enforcement involved was the local park rangers, with whom she worked daily. Law enforcement immediately contacted my dad's side of the family to see if I had turned up there or contacted them. They promptly panicked and came to my house with lawyers on standby. Law enforcement then hired dogs to track my scent, and everyone panicked again because the dogs tracked me to a nearby river where my trail ended, as they couldn't pick up any more scent. Over the next couple of days, there were people going in and out of my house, rangers, lawyers, family, etc. Several noticed the overpowering scent of cleaning chemicals, but only the lawyer considered why a supposedly clean house would reek of chemicals. Law enforcement started canvassing the nearby woods and neighborhood. My friend's dad came to me and asked if there was somewhere else I could stay. He told me he wouldn't kick me out, but didn't want to have to lie to the police or let the dogs onto his property. My friend and I considered camping for a week or so, but instead I looked up my dad's side of the family, called them, and they picked me up right away. Understandably, everyone had questions. When I told them what was happening, the lawyers, horrified, pounced. A judge issued an emergency change of custody and prevented her from gaining custody until she underwent a psychological evaluation and therapy. The rangers, equally horrified, completely shunned my mother, and she eventually lost her job. Since she was only allowed to live on the park because she worked there, she was kicked out of her house. My friend's father and the trackers were members of the local community and churches, and they too shunned my mother. She lost her job, her house, her church, and her friends, all because she told me to leave, and I did. Edit for clarity. I'm 32 now. This happened a while ago. Edit, I wasn't clear and didn't want to make it longer. When my dad's family got involved, they reached an agreement where I would leave with them temporarily, but my sister stayed. I had to go back to my mom's for a short while, but then the judge issued an emergency change of custody and my sister and I went to live with our dad. My sister and I have been in therapy and she is teaching now. Life isn't perfect, but it's better. Edit. people keep asking about the chemicals. The house was normally trashed. My mother kept an untrained dog, and the carpet was soaked with dog feces and urine. The few times we had guests, we would have to crawl around the dog's potty spots, clean them up, and make the house smell good. My mom freaked out when she realized that rangers and child protective services might come around. She did a deep clean of the house before reporting me missing because she couldn't afford to have them realize what they were walking on. Vacuous Intent said, "Your friend's dad is a nice guy. I hope you still keep in contact." To this, OP said, "I lost touch with my friend and his dad once my father got custody. This all happened before MySpace. Every year or so, I try to track him down, but I've never been able to find him. Before all this happened, before we were friends, he noticed that my shoes were falling apart and brought me a pair of his shoes. We barely knew each other, but he still wanted to help. He was a good dude." Chibi Sailor Mercury said, "I disagree with the sentiment. She lost everything because she is abusive, not because you left. What you did took a great deal of courage." Under this comment, OP said, "It didn't feel like courage. It felt like petty anger." Lady PBJ said, "You may be out now, but make sure you get the help you need to move on from this. You likely have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and let me tell you, it sucks. Please get treatment so you can move past this." To this, OP said, "I look like my mom and I can't stand the sight of my own smile. It's really hard to explain to people who think I'm being annoyingly modest, even my sister. I still struggle with self-injury more than a decade later, but I have an extraordinary family and friends circle that are worth being around for." The second post was made in the self subreddit by a user named LopsidedB. The post is titled, "My sister's best friend accused me of SA. My family disowned me. This happened over a week ago. I've come to terms with the fact that I'm not going to be able to convince anyone I'm innocent. I have to accept what's happened and move on, which sucks. My family is literally my whole life. I was especially close with my mother, and now I'm probably not gonna see them much anymore. I lived with my family. I am 24, I know, it might seem unusual. I just don't want to live alone. I was at the house alone, my mom and sister were shopping, and my brother was at work. There was a knock on the door, and it was my sister's best friend. She said she had texted my sister, who told her she would be home soon so she could just come in and wait. Fine, I guess. Just for context, she and my sister are 16. I didn't really want to hang around with her, but she was a guest in our house. I couldn't just go to my room and leave her on her own. So I sat in the living room with her and tried to make small talk. She was acting weird, like she was nervous, and she started asking weird questions. She was asking me if she was attractive, if I liked her outfit, and if I would date her if I were her age. It obviously made me very uncomfortable, and I didn't really know what to say. It quickly escalated to her asking more sexual questions, and she pulled her top down to show off her chest. I didn't know what to do. If I said something and she wasn't doing it intentionally but was just being overly chatty and comfortable, I'd look like a creep if I said anything, accusing a minor of trying to seduce me. It wouldn't look good. I was just trying to laugh it off and was hoping my sister would get back soon. I got my phone out and checked Life 360. They were still at the mall. Bearing in mind my sister's friend had been there for nearly over 20 minutes and she said they'd be home soon. At this point, I was almost 100% sure she was doing this intentionally. I straight up told her that she was making me uncomfortable and that I would like her to leave until my sister got here. She acted innocent again, like she was doing nothing wrong, and I started doubting myself until I walked her to the door, and when we got there, she literally touched my crotch. I hid her hand away and told her to get the fuck out. She practically ran out the door and I locked it. I didn't know what to do. She and my sister have been friends since they were like 5, and I didn't want to ruin their relationship. Also, I didn't want to say anything because it would probably put me in a weird position. I decided not to text my sister and to just keep it to myself and stay as far away from her friend as possible. Anyway, about an hour later, my mom and sister came crashing through the front door, screaming and yelling at me, calling me a dirty pedophile and all sorts of names. I knew instantly what had happened and I tried to tell them the real events, but they didn't let me get a word out. They told me that my sister's friend called my sister and was bawling her eyes out, saying that I had hit her, and threatened to hurt her if she told anybody. They kicked me out of the house within minutes. They didn't even let me talk. They didn't have any proof other than her words. All I managed to grab before I left was my phone, car keys, and wallet. I'm living at a friend's place currently. I told him what happened, and he thought I was joking at first because apparently it sounded like a creepy, weird story or something. He genuinely thought I was lying. He believes me now and he believes that I didn't do anything. I've tried calling my mom and my sister and nothing. I've messaged my brother and he says he has no clue what's happening and he doesn't know who to believe. He's also told me that my sister's friend has been around since then and she genuinely seems shaken and in shock. She must be a brilliant actress. I've just been waiting for the police to come get me since this all happened. They haven't yet. She probably didn't report me to the police because she knows there will be no evidence. Luckily, no one outside my family seems to know yet. None of my coworkers or friends have been acting differently toward me, so that's good at least. But if they decide to tell everyone what I supposedly did, I definitely lose my job. So yeah, I don't know what to do. It's my word against hers. But my family thinks I'm a now. I don't know how they can even believe that. I've lived with them my whole life. I spend most of my time with them and they all believe I'm capable of something like this. For instance, I can't tell the police. That'll likely make it worse. There's literally nothing I can do in this situation. Anyway, thanks for listening to my huge mess. Other than my friend, I have no one else I can talk to whom I trust. Forever It said, next time you're in a situation like this that makes you feel uncomfortable, either start recording with your phone or immediately remove yourself from the situation as soon as possible. Get a lawyer. It's a case of he said, she said. Without proof from her side, you might be able to fight it. To this user, 𝓧𝓤𝓐𝓛 said, part of the problem is that he did shut down the situation, and the girl took rejection and attacked him with it. Recording is the only thing that could have helped, but who thinks to do that? Who thinks that a girl you've known forever is going to turn psycho? Captain Buttfart said, if what you're saying is true, go to a lawyer immediately. Document everything that you can, including times, what was said, and any evidence that supports you. Do not talk to the police. The likelihood of you saying something that can be used against you without a lawyer present is very high. I repeat, do not talk to the police voluntarily without your lawyer present. They are just more cards in a deck that's already stacked against you. If what she said was true, there would be real physical and mental trauma. As another person said, if you are to be believed, this sucks. I hope you manage to clear your name. I work with high school kids and have had some inappropriate comments made at me before. It's shocking and caused me to freeze. I reported them immediately to my boss and documented everything that happened just to be on the safe side. It does happen and it is hard to know what to do at that exact moment. Luckily, that's the start and end of it in my experience. If your story is to be believed, I wish you well. To this, OP said, yeah, I'm on my laptop looking at law firms while replying to comments. I didn't think about the possible trauma that should be present if it had happened. And I get why you don't believe me, but thanks for putting that aside to offer advice. Update. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to all the people who left comments recommending I take legal action. At the time, I thought it was pointless, but just simple comments telling me to look into it helped a ton. I did some research and found out that maybe it wasn't as pointless as I thought. If I hadn't made my original post, I would still probably be hiding away, hoping the accusations didn't get to my coworkers and friends. Also, some of the comments and messages I've seen and received have been awful. I've had multiple death threats in my messages from people who have misread my post or have come to the conclusion that I am guilty. I've seen comments saying that I must be extremely creepy for my family to believe my friend's sister over me. Comments basically saying man equals rapist, and others saying I should do unspeakable things to the girl who accused me. There are also plenty of comments saying that men can't be victims and that I have twisted the story to garner sympathy. I don't mind the comments saying that my post was fake. It's very understandable why you'd think that. The internet, especially Reddit, is full of nonsense. It's good to be wary. I've received 26 messages and only 4 of them have been positive. The rest have been hateful toward me and threatening death upon me. Do better, people. Now, the update. I'm going to keep it pretty short. The day after my post, I contacted a lawyer and had a consultation. I'm extremely lucky because I ended up with a lawyer who is passionate about helping men who have been falsely accused. She says she's defended a dozen guys and has seen the damage it can do. She agreed to help me and we met in person. She asked me a lot of questions and made me go through my story step by step. She told me I had left it too long and that I could have been very easily cleared if I had gotten legal help straight away. Apparently, my sister's friend could argue that any trauma could have healed by now and any DNA evidence would no longer be present. So the best option now would be to send a cease and desist letter to the girl's family. So I signed the documents and she gave me a very discounted fee, which I'm really grateful for. A full lawyer fee would have hurt. Just over 24 hours later, I was notified that the letter had already been sent, which was much faster than I expected it to be. so I waited. And honestly, I didn't expect anything to happen. But 2 days ago, my brother texted me saying that she told my sister she lied. Apparently, she's been crying for ages and my mom is pissed. The same day my brother told me, my sister messaged me and called a lot. I haven't opened the messages yet because I don't want her to see that I've seen them. I want some time to think. Also, I need to wait until my lawyer says it's okay to resume contact. I'm not mad at my sister. She's been friends with this girl since they were small and she's still a kid. This whole situation was probably pretty overwhelming for her, but my mom, I expected better. She instantly believed the accusation, kicked me out, and hasn't attempted to contact me at all. She should be mature enough to handle this in a proper manner, but she failed to do so. My brother is the only one who hasn't completely cast me out. He's been pretty neutral throughout the whole thing and hasn't believed anything, although he hasn't really spoken to me much. I think I can quite easily fix my relationship with him, but it still hurts that he didn't defend me 100%. As for those of you who asked why my mom and sister instantly turned on me, I've been thinking a lot since it happened. And I realized that my mom has always been very much of the believe the woman type. During the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, she was supportive of Amber. I guess this view has rubbed off on my sister. No hate to anyone who has this same view, just stating why I think this happened. I have never done anything creepy that would make them think twice about me. What I was accused of disgusts me. So thanks again to those of you who urged me to take action, as you may have saved me. Sorry if this is hard to read or a bit all over the place with grammar and such. I just wanted to post this and leave all this behind me. This third post was made in the Off My Chest subreddit by a user named Blaba. The post is titled, "I took in my former friend's daughters after I found out he was abusing them. Their extended family tried to get in the way. I have to be careful about what I say because of the people involved, but here it goes. I 38M had a close relationship with longtime friends, T39F and J37M. They got married and had 2 daughters, A and BT, and my fiance, N37F, both died in a horrific accident in 2023. After they died, I was constantly helping out with the girls. It's worth mentioning that T and I dated in high school but have been just friends since. J and I mourned together. We have always been like brothers to each other, and we both lost the women we loved at the same time. It was devastating, but he was clearly having a harder time moving on than I was. He started drinking, lost his job, lost his car, couldn't pay rent, etc. We all came from serious poverty. I managed to do well for myself and pull myself out of that life, while T and J were doing okay. They weren't doing anywhere near as well and were too proud to ever accept help from me, no matter how much I offered. Eventually, I insisted they come stay with me. I live in a very large house with way more space than one person needs. I work from home, so he'd have someone to watch the kids while he looked for work, and I'm within walking distance of both of their schools. I offered to have the 3 of them move in with me while he went to therapy and got his life back together. He eventually caved. Everything seemed fine at first. Over time, I started to notice a concerning shift in the girl's behavior. It didn't feel like normal teenage angst. I basically raised my 3 younger siblings because we had a single mom working 2 jobs. This was something different. Without going into detail, I work in security, and my home is like a fortress. That includes things like blast-proof security glass on the windows and cameras everywhere except the bathrooms and the girls' rooms. One day, B came to me when the house was otherwise empty and started acting very inappropriately toward me. I shut that down immediately, but that got me worried. A teenage girl acting like that toward a grown man is a red flag. I tried asking if anyone was hurting her, but she got upset with me for even asking. A few days later, B came to me again, asking if I watched the cameras. I told her only if there's an incident or something. She asked if I could get alerts if someone walked into her room. I said yes, if I set that up, I could. She asked if there were cameras in her room. I told her no, of course not. B asked if I could install a hidden one. I was very concerned about these questions. She refused to explain. I agreed and waited until the house was empty to install it. I also clipped the recording of the conversation we had in my office where she asked me to install the camera. I'm sure everyone knows where this is going, but I caught Jay going into B's room and assaulting her. He said a bunch of things about how she deserves this because he had this idea in his head that she wasn't his daughter but was secretly a result of an affair T and I had. I got the alert on my phone while I was out of the house heading to the airport for a work trip. I immediately stopped what I was doing, went to the police, and let them know what happened. Within a very short time, he was arrested and the girls were taken by Child Protective Services to be questioned. Over the course of several weeks, I was cleared of any involvement, and the girls came back to staying with me while everything was being sorted out. I was given temporary guardianship over them while everything gets figured out. The girls have a lot of extended family that are now trying to get custody, but their entire extended family comes from the same impoverished world I clawed my way out of. Most of them are absolutely unhinged. They all live in poor neighborhoods, lack resources, just an overall poor environment for the girls. I try not to be too judgmental because I came from that same life. No matter how well I'm doing, I try not to hold it over anyone. The girls' lives and future are what matter to me the most here. The girls have both made it very clear to me they feel safe with me and don't want to live with any of their family. A couple of months ago, the whole family showed up at my house to argue why I needed to give up the girls. They used excuses like I'm not family, I'm creepy, it's strange how I'm trying to protect them, and I won't let the girls see them. Eventually, some racial slurs got thrown, I'm mixed race, they're all white. Of course, all of this was caught on camera. Threats started to get thrown around. I shut all that nonsense down, and one of my neighbors called the police. The cops showed up and made everyone leave. They refused to do anything about the threats at that point, but honestly, I wasn't shocked. Later, the police showed up in full gear saying I was holding 2 girls hostage. Turns out the family called them to report as much. They tried to break down my door, which wasn't going to happen because, again, this place is a fortress. It damaged the door frame though, which I now have to repair. All that was eventually cleared up, which is a long story in itself. Later that night, one of the girls' uncles tried to break in. He couldn't manage to get through the security windows, and long story short, weapons were involved, and he ended up being hauled away in cuffs in an ambulance with a hole in his leg. Since then, I realized I love these girls like they're my own. The realization happened when I was making dinner and A accidentally called me dad, and I choked up a bit. That was the moment I decided I wanted to adopt them both. I asked the girls if they would be okay with that, and they were both excited by the idea. Their Child Protective Services caseworker is on my side. By pure luck, we knew each other from high school. All the evidence I have from the family's harassment, phone calls, video, audio, police reports, makes them all out to be unhinged. So what do? These people are getting everyone I've known and grown up with involved. They've created an absolute mess of false anonymous reports to anyone who will listen, claiming I am preying on the girls. So many reports were filed that a huge investigation got launched. I had to take them out of their schools and enroll them in private schools some distance away so that their family wouldn't know where they're at. There were 2 different incidents of their family trying to grab them off the street. It's gotten so bad that I had to have one of my employees come on as additional armed security to protect the girls from their own family. I'm doing everything I can to be strong for the girls, to be there for them, and to give them the best life I can. But damn it, this is wearing on me. I didn't exactly have the best family life growing up myself, and I'm trying to give A and B the best life I can. Cut to another court hearing, and the family pulled enough money together to hire a lawyer to argue that I am unfit to care for the girls because I'm not family and they already have biological family that wants them. My home is a death trap, even though Child Protective Services did their home inspection and agreed that I exceed literally every metric of home safety on their list. I even had the girls demonstrate that they can bypass every security measure and escape the house in the event of a fire or something. I have an arsenal in my home, even though my weapon storage exceeds the requirements for foster care in my state by a massive margin. Every weapon is registered, and the girls absolutely can't access them no matter how hard they tried. I have a history of violence, yet I've never once been in trouble with the law since I was 16. And all of my violence has been related to my work in security and now having to protect the girls from their own family. I managed to get the girls temporary protection orders from the more intense members of their extended family. B feels the pressure of this the most though, and I can tell she's struggling. She wants to have a normal teenage life where she can be on social media and go places with friends. But she can't because she needs to have a security guard with her. She can't be on social media due to her family's harassment. Somehow, they managed to get a judge to listen enough to launch a whole new investigation. New caseworker, new inspections, more interviews. I'm mostly worried about B. Even though she's in therapy, I feel like having to talk to all these people over and over again isn't helping. I just want it all to be over with, for the adoption to finalize, and for these people to go away. I've hired the best lawyers I can, and I know there's no way in hell their family will come out on top. This past Friday, it's finally over. I'm legally their father. The entire extended family has an order of protection filed against them, barring all contact. And finally, I can breathe. We're going to celebrate with a big trip once the girls agree on where they want to go. Edit. Rereading this, I realized that a lot of it seems a little all over the place, especially at the end. This has been an effort to collect my thoughts from notes I took while dealing with this over the last year. C-Art said, "You, sir, are a hero to those two girls and an example to others to ask questions and not give up." Untaken username said, "May you have every blessing given your way. I'm sure T is watching over you from wherever she is as well. Every risk is worth it. I'm so happy for you and the girls. I hope you all remain blessed and protected. Still, be on guard always, especially when you're outside the house. They could still hire someone to do something, given the lengths to which they've gone. It is suspicious to me that the extended family wants them to this extent, in my opinion. Something isn't adding up about them and their intentions. I don't know what, but I thought I'd voice that out. And when people are this unhinged, they will forever be persistent. I do hope they back off, but you also just won't be able to tell what's going on with them. So please continue to document everything, store footage on hard drives, even on normal days. Make sure you and yours are protected. Make sure the girls' school guidance counselor or principal are aware of some of the history so they're on your side too, in case the family shows up there instead. You've done great so far, you're a good dad." To this, OP said, "Thank you. Their school knows enough of the situation to understand that the girls should only ever be handed off to me or a couple of very specific people. For the foreseeable future, I'm keeping security around the girls whenever I'm not around. As for why their family was so adamant about taking them in, part of it was racism. Part of it was a refusal to believe that Jay did anything to them. They insisted I was making it up and projecting something I must have done onto him." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.